Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Transition Takes Episode 1, sponsored by DUBBY, the energy drink that your taste buds love. Now, my name is Mason, or X Mason as you know me, and this is my friend Devin, or Wavy Nev.
What's good, guys? How you doing, Mason?
I'm fantastic. So what I want to start off with today is just let the audience kind of get to know us a little bit better.
All right.
So I'm going to explain what got me into sports, which is honestly kind of a simple story. My dad was in the military, and the thing that him and I always did together was watch sports. And yes, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so all I know is misery. This episode and the first few episodes will be mostly focused on basketball, but once we get into the football season, I'll be crying. It'll be a good time. I'll hit him with a "This is our year" because that's what we do. That's what we do best. So that's pretty much what got me into sports. And this podcast will focus solely around basketball and football because those are the only sports I know anything about. Now I'm going to hand it off to my good friend Devin here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Basically, what got me into sports was basketball. I really liked watching Wade, and then the big three kind of got me into it. And then with football, my dad lived out of town, so whenever we got together, that's what we bonded over.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm be crying with him.
At least you don't have expectations. That's what makes me cry so much.
Yeah,
everyone thinks you're gonna suck.
Yeah.
So you're a Miami Heat fan then, I take it.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but
yeah. And so Heat, Cardinals. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I mostly like NBA players. I'm not really a huge fan of a team, but if I have to claim a team, it's going to be the Mavs.
Is that because Luka?
Yeah, Luka's my favorite player. So essentially, my first favorite team was the Pacers because my favorite player was Paul George, and then it went to the Rockets because my favorite player was James Harden, and now it's where it is now, which is Luka.
So you like the ISO players?
Apparently.
Yeah, the ISOs. Yeah.
Check with me in a year, and I might have a different favorite team. Might have to switch back to the Rockets. Jalen Green's looking kind of cool.
Green, end of the year, Jalen Green is different.
Dude, apparently Sengun was holding them back, is what the rumor says.
Yeah, but they started to lose at the end of the year once Jalen Green wasn't averaging 30.
Well, that was once, what's that guy, Eason, started talking crap to the Warriors.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big piece for that team that they're missing, too.
All right. Enough yipping, enough yapping. Let's get into topic 1. And we're going to start it off with a bang. Finals prediction. Devin, who do you got?
I got the Clippers and Sixers. I think it's a big if, but if the Clippers can stay healthy, they have enough wing defenders, they have enough scoring with Harden, PG, Kawhi. They have a coach in Tyronn Lue that has championship pedigree. And then Sixers, another big if, but Embiid has looked great since he came back. Maxey, without Embiid, turned into a number one. He's damn near averaging 30. The team's hard to stop, especially with Oubre and Tobias if they can contribute.
It's hard to debunk a lot of what you said, but I'm going to try my best. But who do you have in that series?
Everyone healthy. I have the Sixers in 6. The Clippers don't have a big for Embiid in that matchup.
That's a very good point. Here's the problem. My prediction is Mavs versus Sixers. So we're actually together on the East,
Sixers,
which I was very surprised about because you are a Heat fan. I kind of just naturally thought you were going to say Heat, but It's good to see that you're not a complete blind fan in that aspect. I have Mavs versus Sixers, and I have the Mavs in 7. I think that this is Luka's year where he solidifies himself as one of the 3 best players in the league.
If he isn't already.
If he isn't already. See, the problem with your Clippers pick is there's always that if the team stays healthy thing, but it's never bigger than with the Clippers. They never are healthy. And the one player that does stay healthy, sorry about that. The one player that does stay healthy is Harden. Harden is a career underperformer in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, he's averaged 20 points, 19 points, 20 points on horrible efficiency. And last year, those numbers were inflated because he had 2 excellent games against the Celtics when they lost, and outside of that, he was horrible. And then Westbrook can't shoot. Kawhi's already dealing with an injury.
Yes, which he's
Paul,
questionable to play.
I think what was it? The last
You're talking about Paul George?
Paul George missed the entire postseason just last year. Kawhi played
Mhm.
only 2 games,
Yeah.
and Kawhi missed 8 playoff games in 20 to 21. So it's not a question of if they get hurt, it's when. And that's where picking them is a tough thing.
The only thing with that is both of them played enough games to qualify for awards this season. So, yes, it hurts, but they're also in a rhythm coming. Like, the little bad stretch they had before the playoffs was because Russ was hurt with the hand.
Right.
They did pick it up. He might not shoot, but he's an energy guy. He can defend. He's going to be the guy that defends Kyrie a lot.
Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting.
But I like whoever comes out of that series to make the finals between Mavs and Clippers.
Yeah. And I think Embiid this year has been, when healthy, the best player in the league.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was averaging 36.
Right. He's been 36, 11, and 6 in the games that he's actually played. Maxey has turned into an all-star.
Yes.
He is going to win Most Improved Player of the Year unanimously almost.
Yeah, there's Kobe White slowed down too much to take it.
Right. He's surrounded by role players. We just saw tonight Nick Batum come out and score 20. They're surrounded by Kelly Oubre, Batum. There was another
Tobias.
one. Tobias. There we go.
Anthony Melton should be back
right
as well.
So the role players are just all there. And I think that the team got better by losing Harden, as previously mentioned. Playoff.
Yeah, they got better. They got better defensively. Right. Let Maxey take that jump, and with another thing, Nick Nurse as a he's probably the second best coach in the East.
Right. And then when you go from a guy that is not going to show up but is still going to take a bunch of shots in Harden to a guy who will show up in Maxey, he's getting those extra shots. I think the team actually got addition by subtraction by getting rid of Harden, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, look what they got back. They got Nico Batum, like these role players that you're saying. Mm-hmm. They got back from Harden. They're hard to beat. There's probably one, maybe two teams in the East in the playoffs right now that has a body to put on Embiid legitimately.
Right. Bam and Giannis.
Yeah, it's Bam and Giannis. Maybe
right.
maybe Brook Lopez.
Who knows what Giannis is going to do?
Yeah, Giannis might not make it out of the first round with his injury. We'll see.
Yeah. The thing about the Celtics, even though they don't have that one guy, they just defend Embiid so well. Al Horford is just
I did forget about
wonder.
Al Horford.
Yeah.
Al Horford's actually great. I did forget about him.
Honestly, I had this prediction written down for probably 3 or 4 days. Watching the game against the Heat gives me a lot of cause to pause on the Sixers. They just seem to always underperform when it matters most. But we'll see this year.
Every team doesn't play zone like the Heat.
That's true.
So I don't know how much of the game you watched because I know you were busy, but that zone in the second quarter, I'm pretty sure they ended with under 40 points.
They had 34 at halftime.
Yeah. They had people all around. Kevin Love was doing an excellent job not letting Embiid touch the ball. So.
Yeah, and then in the second half, they kind of started to pick it apart.
But it was really
Batum did a lot of that.
Well, it was Maxey, Buddy Hield, Kelly Oubre finding the little openings and gaps, and then they kick it out to shooters like Nico.
Right. I don't think that was a backcourt though. That was a huge swing.
That was the game right there because it was tie game when that happened. I believe Sixers came down and won with I think Oubre or Embiid. They both got an and one at the end of the game. That also killed it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to see who ends up being right on that one.
Maybe we're just completely wrong.
Yeah, maybe we're both completely wrong. You never know.
Maybe they both get bounced first round.
It's definitely possible. Actually, it's incredibly possible.
Well, not the Mavs Clippers, but Sixers, yes.
Sixers, well, one of our finals predictions is out in round 1.
Yeah.
Mavs or Clippers is going home. So that'll be interesting to see.
And actually, with the Embiid body, I did forget about the Knicks. They have 2 bodies to throw in Embiid with Hartenstein and Mitch. It's just how healthy is Mitchell Robinson. I haven't been watching lately, but I know that foot surgery.
Who on the Sixers can even remotely slow down Brunson, who's been on an absolute tear?
That's the DeAnthony Melton, if he's back for it.
And we'll have to just see that one.
That's why I wanted the Heat to play the Knicks, because Haywood Highsmith, I think it was 5 for 16 last time they played on Brunson.
Yeah. Well, whoever was guarding him when he dropped 62, I don't like him very much. All right. Moving on, we have the Pelicans versus the Kings in the Western Conference play-in. Obviously, already the Warriors are eliminated. Yep. We'll get into that a little bit later. The Lakers beat the Pelicans Zion drops
Yeah,
40.
I think Pelicans win that game if Zion stays.
I completely
They couldn't
agree.
stop. He subbed in and immediately turned everything. He just was not scoring at will.
Right. Completely agree. But Zion's hurt, which also heavily affects this game, which he's already ruled
Yeah,
out for.
which is scary.
Yeah.
Even if they win, he's probably missing half, if not all, of the first series.
Right. Which I have the Kings. I
Yeah.
think you have the Kings.
I had the Pelicans until the Zion news.
Me too.
And the Kings looked actually great. They played great defense. Keegan Murray looked really good.
Yeah. They've always looked at themselves as kind of the. You okay?
Yeah.
They've always looked at themselves as kind of getting little brothered by the Warriors.
It's because
especially right when you add in the fact that Steph Curry goes off for 50 in a game 7 against you. That game was personal for the Kings, and they made it apparent that it was.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but they said they want to be the team to end the Warriors dynasty,
which
they might have.
We'll get into later, but
yes.
When you have De'Aaron Fox, who was excellent this year, averaged almost 27 a game,
shooting more threes,
right? And Sabonis is a very good big man. Zion's missing. I think the Kings blow him out.
I don't know if you saw. I think I could be wrong, but I think Sabonis has like 60 double-doubles this year.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he was on a crazy streak.
Yeah, Sabonis is excellent.
Yes, he's probably going to be an All-NBA player.
Yeah, he's which is crazy that the Kings weren't better.
Yeah,
that Monk injury just
but that was end of the year. That was end of the year. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also a stacked West. Like I think they would have been in the playoffs in the East, but
right. Which is so crazy that like the 8 seed and 9 seed in the West had 50 wins almost.
Yeah.
Like, the West is just stacked. Anyway, so we're in agreement on the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
That moves us on to what we agree will be the 1-8 matchup, which is Thunder versus Kings.
Yes.
I think that the Thunder are an incredibly talented team, but nobody on their team has been there, done that as of yet.
Shea has. He
wasn't the superstar.
Yeah, he was.
That was that Clippers team that took the Warriors to 6, right?
Or no, Thunder team when they had Chris Paul.
Oh, when they had Chris Paul.
So he was like,
right.
I think he was 6th man for that team. He put up like 18 a game.
Right. Okay. So Shea has a little bit, but
just a little bit.
Chet doesn't.
Nope.
J-Dub doesn't.
All they have is like the play-in from last year.
Right. Giddey doesn't have any. Nope. You know, a lot of their main contributors, which I think that the Thunder are by far the more talented team.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that experience, it showed last year. Warriors Kings.
Yeah.
Warriors won it in 7, even though I think the Kings were the better team.
Yeah,
because the Warriors had been there, done that. I have the Thunder in 6. If the Thunder had a little bit more experience in the playoffs, this could easily be a sweep, in my opinion. I just think when you have the talent of a Fox and a Sabonis and the inexperience on the Thunder's end, that's what makes this lopsided matchup an interesting series to watch.
Yeah, I had them. I think I changed it today. I had them in 5 originally, but I thought about it. Sabonis has been so dominant, and that DHO with Sabonis and Fox, they don't have a body for Sabonis. Chet's not big. I don't know if Chet's big enough for Sabonis.
Yeah.
He's just he's going to protect the paint. We know that. Also, Keegan Murray, if he shoots like he did this last game, they can end up winning this series. I just think without Monk, they don't have enough depth. Like, guys, Davion Mitchell was getting a lot of minutes. I don't know how much you can trust him on offense.
Right.
The Thunder were one of the only, I think, 4 teams with the top 5 offense and defense. They have a great coach. They're the 1 seed for a reason.
Right. They most certainly are.
Only thing that scares me is they don't really have, like, outside of Shea, I don't think nobody scores over 20 a game. Yes, J-Dub can.
Right.
And I think he will perform fine, but like you said, not enough experience. We don't know how offense will be.
I feel like the odd man out of that team is Giddey. Just because really all he can do is play make, but Shea needs the ball in his hands. So
yeah, because Shea's not catch and shoot yet.
Right.
I think that they just have too many guys to pay. Giddey's going to probably end up leaving.
Yeah.
But
I would assume, or maybe they trade him and some of their picks and get another.
I wanted them to get Larry Markkinen at the deadline.
That would be interesting. The trees, Markkinen and Chet, man. All right, well, on to the next series. We got Nuggets versus Lakers. You can open this one up.
All right, this one I probably took 10, 15 minutes debating just because the Lakers, they have the bodies to throw at Jokic and Jamal Murray. I don't think Vando's going to be back though.
No.
So I don't think he could chase around Jamal Murray. It's hard to guard Jamal, and Nikola Jokic pick and roll. You can't throw a zone
It's
at
almost
them.
impossible.
Yeah, you can't throw a zone at them. Jokic will eat it up. You have to put AD on Jokic, or we saw what happened last year when they tried Rui.
Right.
So I have Nuggets in 6.
I'm taking the Lakers. I'm taking the Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games. And this is why. Last year was as close of a sweep as you can get,
yes.
right?
Every game down to the
Every
wire.
game in the fourth quarter, it's not like the bench players were in. Jokic was in. Jokic needed to win those games. Jamal Murray averaged 32 points.
He was unstoppable.
He's a playoff career 25 point per game scorer. So if he comes back to the mean, that 7 points a game could be the difference between a sweep and a 7-game series.
Yeah.
And I think the Lakers lucked out drawing them in the first round where there's 2, sometimes 3 days in between games, which gives LeBron, who's in year 21 or 22,
20, something like that, yeah.
That extra rest. And any given game, LeBron can take over and win.
Yeah, easy.
Even to this day, which is miraculous on his part. I'm
I'm
giving you ammo, and I know I am, but that's okay.
That's why I debated for so long between the series, because LeBron is he can take over the series.
Right. And on top of Murray having one of the best series ever, D'Lo had one of the worst. He averaged 6 points a game.
D'Lo's shooting that's the other reason I wanted to pick him. I don't know if you saw, he has the record now for most threes in the Lakers uniform.
I did.
He was shooting very well.
So when you have these outliers where it's unlikely that Murray plays that great, it's unlikely that D'Lo plays that bad, LeBron's going to have more rest. AD is as good of a person that you can put on Jokic, even if he can't stop him because nobody can.
Yeah, you can't stop Jokic.
Those reasons, I have the Lakers in 6 games.
I could see both
if it went to 7, the Nuggets in Denver, I don't see it, right? So I have to say Lakers.
Which I don't like that they have that. I don't think it's fair to have that altitude thing.
All right, hot take incoming.
You're just used to it. You play on it, and if you're a top seed, which good for them, they're a top seed. They get home court. They did that, but
so I can smell you wanting to say it, so I'm going to say it for him. The Denver Nuggets should be forced to relocate. They should go to Seattle.
I like that they're in Denver. It's not their fault. Denver's that's how it is. I just don't like it. It's just such an advantage. The crowd is an advantage, but that's the biggest advantage.
No, it absolutely is. I don't think there's any location advantage better than that in basketball. Like in NFL, Miami has a crazy advantage because of how hot it is, and they have their stadium designed to where
their side.
The sideline of the Dolphins is like 80 degrees, and the other sideline's 110.
Sun pointing at them. Yeah.
But in basketball, I don't think there's any better home court advantage than what the altitude gives them.
Yeah, just the altitude. I think home court wise, Philly might have it just because that city is crazy when it comes to sports.
Well, when your home crowd boos you as much as they boo the other team,
dude,
I don't know if that's great. And I'm a Cowboys fan, so obviously Philadelphia is on my shit list. Mm-hmm. Sorry for cussing. I completely forgot. Let me take a quick pause.
What?
My apologies, viewers. I want to give a shout out to our camera and audio specialist. His name's Alex. His handle's Numbox. I'll put it on the screen somewhere. Alex,
what's good, everybody?
Here it is. So if we look any kind of good or sound any kind of good, it's entirely because of him, and we could not thank him more. If we look bad or sound bad, then it's his fault, and I want everybody to go slander him because Numbox slander, we got to keep that going.
Us being ugly is Alex's fault.
Wow. Okay, so with that out of the way, we're going to move on to our next series, which is the Wolves versus the Suns, which we don't agree on.
Do you want to lead off or you want me to?
I want you to lead off.
All right.
So what do you have?
I have Wolves in 6, and Cat just came back. I haven't tuned into a lot of games because it's the end of the season. So I don't know how good he's looked, but they have possibly 6 Man of the Year, Naz Reid. I just think they have bodies for their guys once again.
Can he qualify for 6 man when he was starting for so long?
He wasn't starting.
Oh, he didn't go. He didn't go.
Yeah, I think he only started a few games while Cat was out.
Okay.
Because they didn't want to change his role for the playoffs because they knew Cat was coming back.
Gotcha.
But
they just went smaller with just Gobert.
Yeah. No, I think they threw Alexander Walker in that starting lineup.
Okay.
But I don't know if you saw the clip. Anthony Edwards said they have KD, but we have Jaden McDaniels. I agree with that. Jaden McDaniels is built like KD. He's lengthy, skinny, top 10 defender in the league right now.
Yeah.
Booker is, I feel like this year Booker's either dropped 40 or like an inefficient 15.
I think him and Beal have struggled to kind of
I think Beal's been on one lately.
It's the end of the year, he was crazy.
It's tough with all three of them. I just
Right.
think they have Anthony Edwards for probably D-Book. They have Jaden McDaniels for, now Beal's probably if they lose, it's probably because of Beal.
Because Beal goes off.
Yeah. But they have the paint defense. They're number one defense in the league for a reason.
Yeah.
They have the bench scoring with Nas. That's the only reason.
So
that's why I have them.
I hear all of your points there. I have the Suns in 7. And I actually have 3 specific reasons. First off, youth and experience, same thing I said with the Thunder, except the Wolves aren't playing the Kings. They're playing a 3-headed monster in the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
So their youth and experience, I think, is going to come back to bite them, whereas KD has been playing with high expectations and high level basketball essentially since he entered the league, right? D-Book, ever since the bubble, has been in the second round or later in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost in the bubble, and then they went to the finals, and then they lost in the second round back-to-back years.
They beat the Lakers that year, huh?
Right.
Yes.
Fact check me. I see you.
No,
okay.
I was just thinking about that series. I don't remember who won it, but all right.
So I will give this, ever since the Celtics series where the Nets got swept and KD, that year, there's kind of a blueprint out there. Get up into KD, and that's where he struggles when you're really physical with him.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, they do have the personnel to do that. I just think the youth and experience is going to bite them. And the Wolves, I think we've already seen this team before. The Utah Jazz, Gobert at the center,
mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards, right? Now this team has Kat.
And Nas
Reed, which you're huge on Nas Reed. You've always loved Nas.
I think when Kat went out, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I think he averaged like 20 and 7. He has the most 3-pointers made in the whole season by a big man. He's a great defender.
Nas does?
Yeah.
Wow. That's I don't know.
He's almost a 40% shooter. He's a good defender. That's why I like him so much.
Yeah, I mean, I had random, but I had Nas on. No, I didn't have Nas. I ended up picking up Kelly Olynyk. You had Nas.
I had Nas, and Nas was going on for me, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the reason I almost won.
But the number one issue, so you point out the number one defense for the Wolves, right?
Yes.
That happened. Jazz had similar stuff. Gobert gets eaten alive in the playoffs. He can't guard the pick and roll with Beal, Booker. You don't think they're going to eat him alive every time down the court, which is exactly what happened with the Jazz.
So you're saying they're going to have...
They're going to play Gobert off the floor, just like he did it in Utah.
So that was not exactly a one-series thing, but Rudy Gobert has been a better defender as far as when it comes to pick and roll, and offense tends to go down in the playoffs. Defense goes up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And they already had the number one defense. I don't see it getting worse in the playoffs. But I understand what you're saying with the Gobert thing, but they still have Kat and Nas back there.
Right. And the Kat thing is interesting that you say that. I think that's kind of, there's a negative side to having to reintegrate your second best player 2-3 games before the playoffs and into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's been gone for so long, and all of a sudden we're reintegrating our second best player. That's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, the only thing with that, I don't think he missed too much games. It's like he never left because Nas didn't start a lot of games. They didn't get too used to having a different lineup. But I understand having to reincorporate him, especially with an injury like that, the meniscus. That's not something that's easy to come back from that quick.
I will say that's probably my second most anticipated
Yeah,
series.
It's going to be a fun
I think
series.
That's going to be a great series.
The only thing that sucks is I could see that series being over in 4, either way.
Really?
I can see it being over in 4 from each side, but...
I mean, that's definitely possible. A couple years ago, I never would have thought the Nets were going to get swept by the Celtics, so it's certainly possible.
Well, also, you said the Wolves are not super experienced. Last year, they took the defending champs to, I think, 5 or 6.
Yeah. And they played them the best at anybody.
Basically all those games were close. It was like the Lakers series, close games all around. It's just, and Anthony Edwards turned up last season in the playoffs.
Yeah. I guess I was more referencing experience with expectations. Yeah. Nobody expected anything from them when they lost to the Nuggets or the Grizzlies a year or two before that. Mm-hmm. This year they're the higher seed. They have home court.
Are they the favorite?
I don't know if they are or not.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, you're not allowed to check the betting odds.
Well,
you're not 21.
I would just check it to see who the favorite is for this. But yeah.
But would you place a bet?
Would I, if I was able to?
Yeah.
If I was able to? No, I wouldn't bet on that series. I would only bet on series I have a for sure thing on. I don't want to bet on.
I will say
anything bad.
Last night, somehow the Lakers were the underdog against the Pelicans, and I made a decent amount of money on that. Yeah. On the fact that they were, and I was almost. I was almost SOL, and I think I should have been if Zion didn't get hurt.
Which I hate that it was a hammy injury of all things, because that could lead into the off season.
Yeah. Those are always tough. I mean, a hammy changed Harden forever.
A hammy changed Halliburton's season a lot, too, until recently.
That is true.
Hammy changed Jaime Jaquez's season. It changes everything when you get hurt.
All right, we got to move on to the next series, which should be Clippers versus Mavs, which we already know the picks, kind of. I have the Mavs in 6.
All right. I have the Clippers in 7.
Clippers in 7, okay. So the Mavs are obviously the lower seed, so the Clippers are going to have home court.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of already talked this over since we finals predictions. We went over a little bit, right? Luka has the best supporting cast he's ever had. He has his Robin and Kyrie, who's had the best non-LeBron season that Kyrie's ever had was this year.
Yeah, great.
Luka, in my opinion, should be the MVP. He played fantastic all year. He is a playoff legend. He averages 33, 9, and 8 in the playoffs, which is unbelievable. That it's actually unbelievable.
Yeah,
the Clippers always get hurt. The Mavs have been one of the best teams in the league since the All-Star break. They are 15-2 in their last 17 games. And since the All-Star break, they have the 5th best defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, that defense has been really good since – actually, that's funny. You know what games jump-started that defense? They played the Heat.
So the Heat get the credit.
No, it's just there was that game. They were talking about how bad their defense has been, and then they blew them out by like 30. Gafford, all those role players were playing
Gafford has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
He almost broke the record for most field goals
in a row. Yeah, he was a great ad at the deadline. Yeah. I
got him for almost nothing.
Yeah, I can't believe Jason Kidd, it took him that long to start him. It took him like 5-6 games.
Yeah, Jason, there are some coaches that don't know what they're doing. That's pretty much all I have on that series. I honestly almost said that the Mavs would win in 5 or sweep them just because unfortunately, you don't root for injury, but when you see it over and over again, I think there's a chance that Kawhi doesn't play the whole series, and I think there's a chance Paul George misses a couple games. I think this could be a sweep. I hope it's not, because fully healthy, this is going to be a really fantastic series.
Maybe the best of the first round.
And I think, as I said earlier, I think this is the year that Luka cements himself, and I think there's something poetic about going through a team that beat you twice in the playoffs.
Yeah. So with the Clippers, I have them in 7 because of Kawhi's injury. Without Kawhi hurt, I might say 5 or 6.
Really?
It's Kawhi. Put him on Luka. He's historically one of the greatest defenders of all time. Might as well throw him on
Luka. Did you
Luka.
watch the series, Mavs versus Clippers?
The other two?
The other two?
Most of the time. That's
Luka as a 21-year-old burnt them.
You're not going to stop Luka.
They couldn't even try.
Yeah, you can't try and stop him, especially with Kyrie there now. It's tough, but they depend a lot on Luka and Kyrie, but it's also the role players. Yeah. Because PJ Washington can have a bad shooting series and they can get swept. They don't have too much shooters around them.
Yeah.
Like that are reliable.
I think the most important shooter will be Tim Hardaway.
Yes. If he has a bad series, that can also be but if he has a good series, they can sweep.
Yeah.
I just think that if Luka had a dominant big man, I would trust him and pick them a lot more. But he has Gafford, who's not going to give you
20. They're two solid bigs.
He's a solid big, but I'm talking scoring wise.
Right.
And Zubac isn't the greatest big, so that's what I'm scared about with them.
Like the Clippers' biggest weakness, the Mavs can't exploit. Yes. I get that. I hear you. I just think they have no chance of containing Luka. They showed against a younger, not as good Luka, they couldn't stop him. And those were better defending Paul George and Kawhi, where they were better defenders at that point. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So Zubac is their weakness, but the Mavs can't exploit that weakness.
I mean, they can exploit it with lobs, but Zubac might play drop coverage. I think he plays drop coverage.
If they play drop, then Kyrie and Luka are going to eat him alive.
But I don't know they also could not play Zubac that much because it's not like Gafford's going to go out there and dominate.
Right.
So that basically sums up the
I
Clippers side of it.
I just hope I want the Mavs to win. I hope that it's an excellent series because it
Yes.
should be one. On paper, it should be fantastic.
Also one more thing. Was Doc Rivers the coach for those two series?
He was.
That's another thing.
That's
Tyronn was
fair.
a lot better than Doc Rivers.
I was hoping you didn't bring that up because that's probably the best argument against those series not really having any impact on this one.
And they still won with Doc Rivers.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Okay, so next on the to-do list, we're going to kind of pivot off of the playoffs here for a bit, and I'm going to ask you, in honor of the GOAT Michael Jordan, number 23, who's your favorite player, 23 and younger?
The guy that is compared to Michael Jordan, Anthony Edwards.
It's funny, he even looks like him. Like, they even look alike.
Like, have you seen the picture of... There's a picture of Ant-Man next to him and Jimmy next to him. Like, Jimmy bald is like a replica of Jordan. It's so
There's
weird.
some kind of crazy conspiracy theory on the internet that Butler is
because
Jordan's kid.
his dad wasn't really in Butler's life, and his mom kicked him out because he looked too much like his dad. You didn't know about that?
That's evil. No,
yeah,
that's evil.
I think that it might just be something that's like a conspiracy theory, but I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
Coming from someone who has a daughter who looks exactly like me, that is evil.
Well, I know that she kicked him out. I just don't know if that was the exact reason.
Yeah. We're going to go with it just because it's interesting.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Well, shout out Jimmy, though. He got it out the mud.
Okay.
But he played 3-4 years at college, Marquette.
Oh, man. He's one of the best stories in the league.
Yeah, he was late. I think last pick of the first round. Didn't get much PT until like his fourth year, and then he turned into a star. Yeah,
he's one of the better stories in the league. And the fact that, no offense, an under-talented team in Miami has brought them to 2 finals since he's been there.
Especially last year without their third best player and their possibly best scorer. It was great. He was on one.
There's players out there a lot of people think are more talented than Butler. Number one that comes to mind is Embiid. Yeah. He is. He's better than Butler. But he hasn't been able to get his team to a finals, whereas Jimmy has done it twice.
Jimmy's like a teetering 15 to 20 player in the regular season. Playoff time, you don't want to see him.
No. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing, and it's so unfortunate that we just got the breaking news about his MCL sprain.
Yeah.
Sprain, Alex?
It's just an injury. I don't think it might be a sprain, just the way he was, because he was still running around. Yeah. So it's not too bad, I don't think. And if it's like a tear, he is insane.
They said out indefinitely.
Yeah. I think it's going to be – so at the beginning of the season, it was Haywood Highsmith also had an MCL sprain. I think it's a lot like that. He missed like 2 weeks.
Yeah, the good news is that I think the team can still beat the Hawks or the Bulls, whoever wins.
Who's winning right now?
Yeah, score update.
114 Chicago, 98 ATL.
How much time?
With 8.5 minutes left.
So I think the Bulls are going to win.
Which, honestly, without Jimmy, I don't think they beat the Bulls.
So
we can get into that. We can get into that when that comes up.
Okay.
But yeah, Anthony Edwards, I liked him since he got drafted. It's not just him on the court. I like him as an off-court person. He's funny. He's hilarious. He seems like a great teammate too. Never heard a bad thing about him. He's really fun to watch, especially when he gets up there to try and dunk.
Yeah, he probably had dunk of the decade a couple weeks ago.
He's had a few like that in his career.
And he had a crazy block too.
Yeah. Oh my! I forgot about that.
That block was insane.
Yeah, that was like the one jaw pinned off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad answer at all. It's not my answer. I think that Anthony Edwards is probably going to be the face of the league, just because, right or wrong, a lot of NBA fans are American, and they want an American to be the face of the league, which eliminates Luka, Jokic, Embiid, all these different guys who are better than Anthony Edwards.
They could be the best in the league. It's just face of the league.
Face of the league is a different story. Yeah. My answer to this is WEMBY.
That's your favorite?
Yeah,
dude,
under 23.
I love watching WEMBY. He's so fun.
So he's done some stuff. He has GOAT potential.
Yeah, he could make an All-NBA team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he should win Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he would if the Spurs weren't so bad.
Well, interesting stat with that. I think I heard on JJ Redick's thing that they're like the worst defense in the league without him on the court. And when he comes in, I think they're top 5.
Right, which should help him out. But for some reason, the Defensive Player of the Year wins matter. The whole award system.
I understand the wins matter.
Excuse me. The whole award system is weird, but he's probably not going to win it. If he does, that's crazy
He's going
to
to be
win as a
probably
rookie.
runner-up, honestly.
Right, he'll be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Because it's clear it's going to be Gobert, Wemby, or AD, but I don't think – I think
I saw people at Bam on their ballot for 3, but no higher than 3. It was those 4, I think, are the only ones I saw on people's ballots.
And Wemby, as a rookie, averaged 21, 11, 4 assists with 4 blocks and a steal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has greatest defender
of
all time potential. And when you have that kind of defense as a 7'4" player who can dribble and shoot decently, I mean,
did you see he led the league in step back 3-point percentage? Yeah.
First of all, that's a very random stat, and I respect it. I did not know that.
Like this year, I think Harden's best year in step back 3-point percentage is worse than this year Wemby.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And this is a random fun fact. See, I have some of those too. Wemby's the first player to ever hit 1,000 points, 150 blocks, and 150 assists through his first 50 career games.
Yeah, he's a monster. He stays healthy. He's top 10, top 3 probably player in the league.
Right.
He's
very quickly.
He just needs to get the scoring up there. I mean, he turns up in fourth quarters. He's already shown he's clutch.
Once they get a guard who can get him the ball in the right spots, yeah, he's going to be disgusting.
They should get one of the Hawks guards this offseason for him.
Yeah.
Whether it's DeJounte or Trey.
It would be funny if it was DeJounte. Considering he was already there.
Yeah, he has a great relationship with Pop. I would love that. Hawks just eat their picks, maybe try and get 1 or 2 back for him.
Yeah.
And then just go with it.
Well, the Hawks are stuck in purgatory right now, so they have to do something.
Well, they're a better team when one of them is not on the court. I think they're 500 when Trey's not there. I'm not sure about the DeJounte side.
Right. Well, I mean, I thought they were going to beat the Bulls, and right now it's looking like they're not. They're kind of getting pieced up a little bit.
I didn't have them beating the Bulls because they're missing Jalen Johnson and Sadiq Bey. Those are 2 wings that are valuable to that team, which is another reason I want them to trade one of their guards. I think Jalen Johnson can be a star.
The only thing I know about Jalen Johnson is I once bet on him to score over 13.5, and he didn't. That's the only thing I know about him.
He's basically a 6'9" wing that can defend, super athletic. The jumper's working on it, and he's a good playmaker for his size.
That's perfect to pair next to an elite guard like DeJounte or Trey. It's probably better. I mean, Trey needs defenders around him, which is the idea with DeJounte, but they both need the ball in their hand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could have told the Hawks that wasn't going to work.
I just didn't like the trade when it popped up.
And they gave up way too much for it.
It was the same offseason. Was that the same offseason as the Gobert trade? So I think they kind of had to give up a lot.
When everything got elevated.
Yeah. I'm glad it's been
But
reduced.
The Suns proved that if you just hold to your cards, that doesn't work. Because that was the same or the next season towards the trade deadline, KD got traded, and they didn't give up. The Nets got less than the Jazz did, Gobert, KD.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
That's also because the Jazz needed or not the Jazz. Why did I say the Jazz?
Because I brought them up.
Oh, the Suns still needed to keep pieces to contend. So they can only give up draft picks, but they didn't have a lot to give up.
They did give up 2 really solid role players.
Yeah, but I think I think GMs realized that those 2 trades could have ruined trades for the league, so they kind of brought it to a median.
Yeah. That was a little bit of a side tangent. Now we're going to move on to something that's unfortunately going to make our producer very sad. As we all know, the Warriors lost to the Kings just last night. And I got to ask you, Devin, in your opinion, what does this loss mean for the Warriors?
So I could see it going 1 or 2 ways. I think they should blow it up. And I would love for them to let Steph Curry to be traded, because as a Heat fan, he'd fit perfect on that team after him. But I don't see him going. I see them either getting rid of both Klay Thompson and Chris Paul, like letting Klay walk and trading Chris Paul to like the Spurs or a team that could use the veteran point guard.
That would be awesome.
Or
with Wemby.
I could see them. They can't get both of them back. I don't think they have money to get both of them back, and I don't think Chris Paul is good enough for them. Yes, that bench was good with him, but with AirPods being a good player now, I think they try to hit on the draft, get rid of the bad contracts they have. Like if you can somehow get rid of Wiggins' contract,
Well, you have to attach
A
like
pick.
AirPods to it.
well, you're probably gonna have to attach the first 2 Wiggins to
Right.
get him to like the Pistons or the
Right.
like a bad team that can take the money on.
Well, there's bad teams, and then there's purgatory teams. That's
Or the
Pistons.
Wizards could take him on and say, hey, just
Also
give us
purgatory.
Both, just give us both your bad contract players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what they should do is go the younger route and keep Steph around. So Steph, Pods, Kuminga. I wish they traded for Porzingis in the offseason. There's not that big out there right now that can
Right.
work for them. But I think Draymond, Steph are both under contract for 3 more years. So, and I don't see them trading anybody else. So I see the big 3 staying together.
So I think if it wasn't already clear, the dynasty is definitively over.
I think it's over too.
Definitively. I think that. So first off, the owner publicly said, Joel Lacob publicly said, I want to get under the luxury tax. That is.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Winning and luxury taxes 1A and 1B his priorities. So Clay's not coming back.
Paul's gone then.
Paul's gone, which his contract is completely non-guaranteed next year, so they can just cut him. He has no guaranteed money on his contract. So Paul, Clay, my opinion, gone. I think they're going to try and shop Draymond because he's just so much of a headache for him. I think they're done with it at this point. And I think if I'm Steph Curry, winning and playing for the Warriors are no longer things that you can both do. You can't win titles or compete for titles and be on the Warriors. So if I'm him, I request a trade.
Go to Miami.
It's not every day that I think Steph's 36, 35.
35, 36, yeah. Around
that a player of that age is still playing at the level that he is, which he did slow down at the end of the year. But his game ages very well, and if you get him around some young stars, he can still compete for championships, which he said in his post-game press conference just yesterday that is still his number one priority is to win games.
Yeah.
So he should request a trade, and the Warriors should completely blow it up and kind of take their medicine per se of, hey, we just had what in my lifetime was the greatest basketball dynasty of the last 23 years, right?
Yeah.
So we won all these games, and now it's time to blow it up and hope that in a few years we can get back to that playoff team and kind of move forward that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should blow it up. I think if Steph's on the team, they try and compete. Now, if they trade him, a team I would love to try and make a move for him, depending on how their playoff goes, is the Cavs. Try and trade Darius Garland for him. Because that's another young guard. You could put him with Kuminga and the other young players. He could pair with them well. That gives the Warriors, or not the Warriors, the Cavs shooting, championship pedigree. But
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Cavs later. I think the Cavs are actually going to be sellers, not buyers. I think they're going to be trading Donovan. I don't think he's re-signing.
Well, there's only a few teams that Donovan will go to.
Right. He's made it very clear he wants to be in a big market.
I would love – well, he's made it very clear he wants to play with Bam Adebayo.
There you go.
And I would love that. We'll get on that later.
Yeah. So we're going to move on now to the Eastern Conference play-in games, which as we are recording, the Bulls are up. Score check, Alex.
124 to 102.
They are up by 22. So the Bulls won. We're gonna put that in stone. So we have Heat Bulls is the only game to not be decided in the East.
Yes.
Jimmy's going to be gone.
Possibly.
It's
hard with him. He might play through it.
I'm going to trust Heat culture, and I'm going to take the Heat.
I would love to trust Heat culture, but there are so many people to defend on that Bulls team without Jimmy. I mean, it's
not going to be easy.
There's Ayo, who's been playing so well since the All-Star break, I think. They have Kobe White, who's emerging. I think Bam is fine on Vucevic. Vucevic he's either killed us or sucked against us, but they have Drummond coming off the bench. They have DeRozan.
Why are they so bad? Why are they the 10 seed, right? They're the 9.
They have talent. I don't pay attention enough to them, so I can't tell you 100%, but they've been in a lot of clutch games. So, their record could be better if they won a lot of those games.
Right. And this isn't like the West. The 9 and 10 seed of the East actually do have bad records.
Yes, I think they're negative, both of them.
They are bad teams, and it's not like the West where it's just so stacked. Yeah. It's unfortunate because I think if Jimmy's healthy, I think the Heat mollywop him. But
yeah, in the past,
I'm still taking the Heat, and I don't have any reason outside of I trust Spo, and I trust the Heat culture to get it done against them, and it'll be in Miami.
Yes. Well, funny you say that. Miami is worse at home than they are on the road. They're one of the best road teams in the league this year.
They just don't defend Wade County, huh?
I don't know what it is at home. I don't honestly couldn't tell you. The players can't even tell you. But with the Bulls,
Maybe they sit more home games. Like maybe Jimmy,
possibly.
like if Jimmy's on the road, he wants to play.
I feel like a lot of
fans
people come back though. Like a lot of injuries, they come back from home games. But another thing that worries me about this game, Duncan Robinson, he has a lower back injury. He was available for today, didn't touch the floor. So that worries me. Terry Rozier's been out 4 games with a neck injury.
Why are you guys always so in? Well, because you play so hard.
Yeah.
That's why the Heat are always so injured. Is they do play so hard.
Right now, the only offense the Heat can generate in the half court is like Bam, Hero, Hawkes, and then maybe Caleb Martin games if those people are still injured. So it's gonna be rough, but maybe the defense can help because we're gonna have more defense on the court.
So what's your call?
I'll say Heat just because they're the better team, but
it's hard to believe.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls win at all because they've also played us hard even when we have Jimmy.
Right. So with that, we both have the same 1-8 matchup of Celtics Heat.
Sadly. Actually, no, I had the Heat winning tonight.
Well, now that we know what happened, now we know it'll be Celtics Heat or Celtics Bulls. My opinion, the Celtics sweep either of them because Jimmy's not going to be right and the Bulls are the Bulls.
If Jimmy's MCL is okay, I could see the Heat legitimately winning that series.
I could too. If Jimmy never got hurt tonight, I could see the Heat pushing it to a series. It just
sucks because last year Jimmy was playing so good, he twisted his ankle in the next series.
Yeah.
It's 2 years in a row now he's gotten hurt, which is scary. And
he's getting up there in age at this point.
He's 35? Yeah.
You don't really think of Jimmy as being that old just because he didn't start winning until so much later.
He didn't start playing well till like late 20s, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I think Celtics might sweep the Heat, which sucks because
especially with Jimmy hurt.
If the Heat get swept, they might blow it up, and I don't want us to blow up because of the goddamn Celtics.
Yeah, that would be a tough pill to swallow.
And
it also seems that you guys have met in the last like 4 playoffs or something like that, and it seems every year it switches who wins.
Yeah, I think the only year we didn't meet was the year the Bucks won because the Bucks swept the Heat.
Yeah.
But since the bubble, I think we've met every year.
Which is pretty crazy that kind of thing happens. And it's complete side tangent. It's crazy that Giannis and Embiid have never played in the playoffs.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they've always been on opposite sides.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing I just saw the other day, I think since 2011, when LeBron went to the Heat, the Warriors or Heat have been in the finals, I think, every year but one.
That is
and they've never met.
Huh.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, the Warriors also went to like 7 straight or something crazy. So.
Yeah, during each team's like dynasty, they weren't.
That's good. That's an interesting one. Well, unfortunately, with Jimmy being hurt, there's not a lot to say about that series. We both agree the Bulls would maybe steal a game if Levine and DeRozan go off, but probably get swept. He's out.
He's been out for the season.
That just shows all that I know about the East. I'm much more in tune with the West. Yeah. So yeah, the Bulls get swept. The Heat probably get swept. So not a lot of.
I don't think. I think if a team can take a game, because the Heat can, I think they could take a game without Jimmy. They almost beat them without Jimmy this year.
I think the biggest problem for the Celtics last year and why they lost to the Heat is they didn't have, and it's such an overused phrase at this point, but they didn't have anyone that had that dog in him.
Yeah. Now
they have Drew Holiday. They added players that are like, no, I'm diving on the floor to get that ball, which is what the Heat really had over them. Mm-hmm. So even if Jimmy was healthy, I think the Celtics would take it this time. With Jimmy being either not there or hobbled, I think the Celtics kind of run away with that one.
Yeah, and also the Celtics last year, Mazzulla's been a lot better this year, but they didn't have the right coaching staff.
It was he was in over his head.
Eric Spoelstra coached circles around him last year, and he has a great staff this year. And they have 5 all-star caliber players in their starting lineup.
Anytime you're expected to compete for a championship and it's your first year as a head coach, that's
he wasn't even supposed to be the head coach. Right. That's the part that was hard. The staff was built around Ime.
Right. Which Ime has proven that he's an excellent head coach. Mm-hmm. He had the Rockets playing fantastic.
I love that signing for the Rockets.
We're going to move on to Knicks versus Sixers. Obviously, I have the Sixers, and so do you, since those are our final picks. I think that's going to be a great series.
I think
I got Sixers in 7.
If the Knicks can get out of that series, I think will go to the finals. I think winner of that series goes to the finals. Nobody on the Celtics can guard Jalen Brunson. Not a single player.
If the Sixers get eliminated, I would take the Celtics to make
I would
it.
take the Celtics.
But the Knicks is a very interesting one.
They have OG Anunoby. He can defend one of those two wings.
Yeah, he
they have
seems
Josh
to get.
Hart. Yeah.
He seems to play and then just get hurt.
Yeah,
right
that's the thing
after.
that sucks. But
I
hopefully
think
his elbow holds up.
I think since that trade, when
Oh my gosh, their record.
Randall's not coming back.
No.
But when Anunoby and Brunson play together, they've lost like twice or something like that.
It's
like
insane. It's like the Maxey Embiid thing. I think on the year they're like 30-7.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I can see this one going either way. I have Sixers in 7. I think you don't want to see Maxey and Embiid in a game 7. But
right, and that's why I think this is going to be a great series that goes 7, and in a game 7, give me the best player, which is Embiid.
Which is tough. Jalen Brunson might. I think it's been the last 12 games. He's putting up like 35 on 50% shooting.
Yeah.
And like 45 from 3. He might be the best guard in the East.
He's been playing at an elite level. I think
MVP.
In the playoffs, it's when defense ramps up, the superstar, in this case Brunson, needs that second guy, and I don't think he has him.
As far as creating for himself.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't have that. But he has DiVincenzo, who I think was 3rd in the league and made threes. Which, did you see DiVincenzo doesn't come up in most improved thing, even though he played 81 games? Because he was 9 seconds off of the required minutes. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. They should just give that to him.
Brunson, I trust in the playoffs. He's had 2 straight years now where he showed. He had the last year with Luka. When Luka missed those few games, he put up like 20 a game. And the last year, he torched the Heat. They could not guard him. He just had no other help.
Yeah. Which is, I think, kind of going to rear its face again. And especially Nurse is an actual NBA coach. Yes. Finally, Embiid has one in the playoffs.
Which I want the Sixers to be healthy, man. It sucks because they're probably going to win if they're healthy, but I want to see that team healthy with a good coach.
Yes. It just being 7'2", man. Embiid needs to get a title here quick, or he's not going to get
because foot injuries for people that big and heavy is bad. Jokic doesn't play like Embiid. He's not athletic, so that's why he's able to do what he does.
Right. Embiid's not going to be one of these cases like Jimmy or Steph, where we're talking about him being elite when he's 35.
Yeah, he doesn't. He ages okay just because he's so talented, but I don't know if he can move around like that for much longer.
Right. Big men fall off very quickly.
Yes.
Moving on to the next series, we have the Bucks versus the Pacers. I had originally put in Bucks in 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pulling out another one. I have Pacers in 6. The Bucks haven't played the Pacers well all year.
Yep.
Giannis is hurt. I think that Doc Rivers, the amount of string this man has gotten off a championship he won 15 years ago
with a Celtics team that was stacked
is unbelievable. But he has gotten thoroughly outcoached consistently in the playoffs.
Yes.
And they fired a coach mid-season for him. And ever since then, the team's been in turmoil. They give me a bad vibe. I'm taking the Pacers to beat the Bucks in 6. Mostly because I want Doc Rivers to – I'm sorry to prey on a man's downfall, but I'm ready for him to be out of the league. If I go 3 months without selling a car, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah.
And a different dealership's not going to hire me just because 3 years ago I had a month where I sold 20 of them. I'm obviously not a good salesman anymore, and he's obviously not a good coach anymore.
Yeah.
And Giannis is hurt. Middleton, unfortunately, is a shell of himself. So it'll be Dame by himself, and I'm going Pacers in 6.
Sorry. So I put here depends on Giannis' health. I think if Giannis plays if he misses the first 2 games, I have Bucks in 7. I don't think they will win a game without Giannis. But the thing to that, last time we saw Dame in the playoffs was it the bubble year? I'm pretty sure where he had.
They lost to the Lakers.
Yeah, he had Austin Rivers though praying to God because he missed a damn shot.
That is true.
On a different level, but he's been underperforming this season. So I think if Giannis misses more than 2 games, I have Pacers winning the series. If Giannis misses less than 2, I have Bucks.
More than anything, I'm just rooting for them to win because I'm ready for Doc Rivers to.
It's just
I'm ready for that to be done.
With the Pacers, the only person on that team with experience of that is Pascal. I think the only way they win is if Pascal plays like the best player on the court. Halliburton has been wishy-washy since his injury. The Bucks don't defend well, and they're missing Giannis, so that's why I would have them.
But without Giannis, it's very possible that depending on how Dame plays, the Pacers have the two best players in the series.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Hallie and Pascal.
when Dame has his own team in the playoffs, he's a different monster. So, and it might be fun to watch. Dame in the playoffs without another star might be so fun to watch, but it also could be hard to watch.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see on that. But I have Pacers if Giannis misses more than 2.
Yeah, regardless of Giannis's health, I have the Pacers in
Understandable.
6.
I don't have the Bucks beat the Pacers this year.
No. Which is funny because Giannis averages like 42
Yeah.
against them, but they haven't won.
It's because Hallie. It's that offense.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I don't know. Playoff basketball slows down. It's a lot of half court.
The Bucks are incredibly long, slow. They don't have a lot of speed or athleticism on their team, and I think that's why the Pacers do well against them.
Yes.
Alrighty, moving on to the next one, we have Cavs versus Magic. I have the Magic in 7, mostly because we kind of touched on it earlier. I think Donovan Mitchell's kind of checked out. I think he doesn't plan on being there next year. And the Magic have a clear-cut number 1 in Paolo. They have another really good second option who averaged 20 points a game.
Franz.
Right, Franz, thank you. And they are also the 6th best defense since the All-Star break. They've been a lockdown team, which is exactly what the Cavs ran into last year when they lost to the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a really good series. I have the Magic in 7 games, but I do have the Magic taking it.
I have the Cavs in 5. I think it's going to be a lot like.
Wow, that couldn't be more lopsided.
I think every game is going to be close, coming down to the wire. I just trust Donovan Mitchell in the clutch more than I trust anybody on the Magic. And the Magic don't shoot the 3-ball well, and in the playoffs, that's not a good thing. They can have this great defense, but the Cavs have.
At the end of the day, you got to score.
Yeah, the Cavs have Dono, who. The Magic have Jalen Suggs, all NBA defender, but Donovan Mitchell is a different monster. And they have DG, who, last year, him and Jared Allen, they did not play well in the playoffs. I don't see that happening again. I think they could.
Did Mitchell played last year, didn't he?
He didn't play well either. That whole team played bad in the playoffs. Yeah, it was. I just don't think the Magic can score enough to win that game. All those games might be under 100 points.
Yeah, it'll probably be a low-scoring series. I'm excited to see it, though, and I hope you're wrong about the amount of games. Whether the Cavs win or not, I don't think they will. I won't lose any sleep at night over it. I hope it's a good series.
And the Cavs have Max Strus, who has the playoff experience.
You are a Heat homer, my friend. All right, on to the next topic, which is going to be, did the Bears make the right decision moving on from Fields to draft Caleb Williams?
It's
and done.
Pretty simple.
Yes, they did. No,
Justin Fields isn't. It's Caleb Williams at his floor is Justin Fields now, with a worse contract, or Justin Fields will have a worse contract than Justin Fields
than Caleb. Right, I got you.
But
deep breath.
Yes, and Caleb is coming into a great. He has probably top 10 defense now over there in Chicago.
Yeah, I want to see how they draft, but their defense.
And
they picked it up
I think
last
they
year.
need to get an O lineman. They have weapons, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. I saw they have a chance at maybe even getting Roma Dunze or something in the draft too. They have Cole Kmet at tight end.
I saw a mock trade that you're gonna love.
What is it?
So the Giants trade up to number 4.
I know which one you're talking about.
Because Drake May falls, they trade up to number 4 to take Drake. The Bears trade up and take Marvin Harrison Jr. from you at 5.
Well, now I've seen a lot of mock
drafts. And you guys get Roma Dunze.
Yeah, because I didn't look at it, but I saw something about Buddha wants Roma Dunze.
You're gonna let your free safety have that much say?
Well, I think he might have said that's who he likes. I didn't watch it, so I can't quote him, but I saw something about him liking Roma Dunze. But I don't think they trade that pick unless it's to the Vikings for both of their firsts.
Yeah,
because you don't trade the 4th pick to get out of the best receiver prospect in the past decade. More
technical difficulties.
Pilot episode. Sorry.
Yeah, we might be looking for a new producer. Submit your applications in the comment section. Simply put, Caleb's the answer. My number one reason is the contract of the quarterback has become such a huge part to winning. Teams like, unfortunately, in my case, Dallas,
My team.
the
Maybe.
Cardinals, the teams that pay these not top flight,
Not Mahomes.
right? Essentially, more or less, don't pay the unicorns like Mahomes. They can make the top money and still win.
Yes.
If you're not a unicorn but you're making top money, the team doesn't win. This resets their clock. They've made trades like getting Keenan. They traded for Sweat last year, which
Great. Perfect.
I will own it, and I think I even tweeted it. I thought that was horrible
I
when
loved
they
that
did
trade.
it, but it ended up working out very well. They're a team on the rise, and I think that they very well could win that division.
I think I think they could be a Super Bowl threat depending on how good Caleb is.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
They, like you said, depends how they draft. I do want to see their draft, but they gave Caleb weapons. Has their line been better? Or do they need to up it?
Their
a little
line's
bit?
okay. I think their first pick is probably going to be a tackle.
Defense. Okay.
though.
Oh,
I
offensive
think
tackle.
it'll be an offensive tackle.
Okay.
And if not, it'll be defense, which they'll get the second best defender in the draft because Atlanta is going to take the best defensive player. I think Turner out of Alabama is going to be
Dallas.
the one who goes
Dallas
to
Turner, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to go to Atlanta at 8. That'll probably be the first defensive player taken.
Yeah.
The two most solid picks of the draft where you can write into it in almost any mock is Joe Alt going to Tennessee and Dallas Turner going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then the Bears will get the second best defender or they'll get the second best tackle.
Yes. Or I think if they don't get the second best tackle, it's the Jets.
I don't think the Jets are smart enough for that. I think the Jets are going to end up with Brock Bowers.
Dude.
Because they want to give Aaron another shiny toy, even though they need offensive line depth.
After he freaking ruptured his Achilles
Right.
or whatever again.
And they're two tackles that, which granted, if they stay healthy, are great tackles. Yeah. But the likelihood that 34-year-old Tyron Smith stays healthy for a year, I'm a Cowboys fan. He doesn't stay healthy for an entire year.
I mean, as long as A-Rod can stay healthy and he's healthy playoff time, that's all they need.
Yeah. I mean, I think they need their tackles to be healthy in the playoffs just as much as they need Aaron to be healthy. Yes. But we kind of got off on a side tangent there.
Just got to show you we know a little bit about football.
At least act like we do.
Yeah.
So now to, I think, the most anticipated segment of the show. I can see as I'm looking over, Devin has a lot of notes on this one. I'm just going to ask the question plain as day. Who's the greatest player of all time in the NBA?
I would like to say there is not a wrong answer between Jordan and LeBron. It's really just an opinion. They're both great. I'm taking LeBron.
You're taking LeBron?
Yes.
All right. I'll tell you why there's no possible way I would ever take LeBron, and then I'll let you read your soliloquy of notes.
Do you want to just do back and forth?
No, I'm going to say one thing. And
that's what I'm saying. One thing.
No, I'm going to say one thing only,
okay.
And you're going to do your soliloquy of notes, and then at the end I'm going to say, yeah, but my one thing still exists. Okay.
All right.
LeBron has been swept twice on the biggest stage, the NBA Finals. He got swept by the Spurs, and he got swept by the Warriors.
Yep.
And Allen Iverson kills his goat. He kills it for him because Allen Iverson was able to get one game against one of the greatest teams ever in the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. He got one game. I just need LeBron to get one game. And at the end of the day, winning matters. Jordan has 6. LeBron has 4. Now, I don't care that LeBron is 4 and 6. It's impressive. No. Okay. I don't care that he's 6 for 6, and I don't care that LeBron's 4 and 6. I care.
He's like 4 and 10, I think.
LeBron is not 4 and 10.
He's like 4 and 10.
No, that's false. Fact check. He's 4 and 6.
He's not 4 and 6.
He's 4 and 6.
Oh no, I'm talking out of the 10, he's 1/4. Oh, my fault.
He's 4 and 6.
We got that.
Jordan is 6 and 0.
We just worded it differently.
Right. LeBron is 4 for 10. Jordan is 6 for 6.
Yes.
I don't care about that. 6 is greater than 4. Winning matters. Jordan has 2 three-peats. And when – let me back up. LeBron is the best at basketball that I have ever seen. Nobody can do more on the NBA court than LeBron.
Talent-wise?
No, not necessarily talent. He's a Swiss Army knife, right? He can do everything. That he's in year 21 or 22, and he's still an elite player. He's the best player I've ever seen. GOAT encompasses more than that. It encompasses accomplishments, winning, pedigree. Everybody feared Jordan. It seems that not a lot of people fear LeBron. Steph Curry has as many championships as LeBron in his own era. All of these things defeat the aura of LeBron to where he can't be the GOAT, but he is, in my opinion, the best player. And I think the two are separate.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
That's funny you say
onto
that.
you.
Because your argument was the exact argument my dad has. Like the
Mm.
exact thing. He would agree
I have
with you
been
100%.
compared to your dad before.
All right. So you said Iverson took a game from one of the best teams of all time.
Correct.
Let's talk about the best team of all time, or put together.
Is that the 72 Bulls?
Huh?
That
72.
the
No,
90,
I'm talking
97
I'm talking
Bulls.
KD Warriors, the team that swept LeBron. You want him to take a game on possibly the best team of all time with his
Yes.
second best players. Outside of Kevin Love, I think he averaged 19 and 11 on that series. LeBron put up, I can't find it. I think it was like, right here, 34, 8, 10, 1 and 1 or something like that. It's not his fault he didn't win a game. Outside of Kevin Love, he had George Hill and J.R. Smith shooting under 45% from the field, none of which averaging over 10 points a game. And game one, J.R. Smith had it's not LeBron's fault he couldn't win. He did everything he could. And then
I don't think that it's his fault they didn't win, but it also
it's hard to do.
It wasn't his doing. He didn't get a game. I need him to get a game.
So
and what's your excuse about the Spurs? The Spurs one?
Did you? It's about the same thing as I think that's his first finals appearance.
It was.
That team should not have been in the finals.
That is true.
It's like the same argument. The Spurs weren't as good as the Warriors, but he shouldn't have been there with that team.
Yeah, but I think that circles back into some people think that and I think it's impressive that he's been to 10 finals.
Yes.
But I think anybody that you talk basketball with would admit that through most of, if not all of LeBron's career, he was in the weaker conference in the East. He preyed on the East and then got destroyed when he met the good teams in the West.
Well, so the East, you could say preyed on, but some of the teams that were in the East, that Celtics team, the Paul George.
He didn't beat them until he was on a super team himself.
Which they were a super team as well. He took them far with a bad Cavs team, but there was a Celtics team. There was the Pacers team that you love so much. It was a great team.
Love Lance Stevenson.
Oh, love Lance. So I understand he should not have lost all those two finals with the Heat, but he was the favorite out of all 10 of his finals 3 times.
Did he win all 3?
He won. No, he lost that 2011 to the
Mavericks.
Oh, right,
yeah.
But outside of that, he is.
I didn't even bring that up. The fact that the 2011 finals did happen.
Yes, cramps. We'll go with cramps. But he was 2 for 3 in those, and he was 3 for 10. Or he was not the favorite in basically all of his matchups.
Right.
And he won some of those.
See, and that's where I debunked that because I don't care that he lost all those finals.
No, I know. But I
just needed him to get me
a game
2
with
games.
Those 2?
I needed him to get me 2 games.
Which I understand. I guess the Spurs one, but that's not an easy team to beat.
No, absolutely
The Warriors one, I will completely disagree with you till the day I die. That team is not a team you can beat.
That's what's great about sports, and that's what's great about shows like this is, at least on this particular thing, and as of this very moment, neither of us are right or wrong on anything that we've said. We can end up being wrong on the predictions that we've made, but as of this very moment, it's all opinionated, and you can't do anything but say, I see your point, or in this case, I vehemently disagree. LeBron is not the GOAT, and you're wrong. So I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm wrong. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I know you didn't bring this up, but I was ready for you to bring up the Ray Allen shot. I was so ready for that because
that was a great shot. I'm not going to say he saved his legacy. I'm not skipping
I wanted you to. I really did because that game that Ray Allen hit that shot.
Pause. I'll do you a favor. You also have to bring up the point that without Ray Allen, he'd be 3-7, and he would have lost to the Spurs that year as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that game that he would have lost without the Ray Allen shot, he had a 30-point triple-double with 3 steals and a block. The shot that, remember Steve Kerr? The shot he hit?
Yeah.
You want to know what Jordan had in that game?
What?
22, 9, and 7 on 5 of 19 shooting.
5 of 19 is tough. The scoring thing, it was a different era. So 22 versus 30 is a little tough. But 5 of 19 is bad.
Yes, LeBron didn't shoot as great, but he was a better stats wise, the defense was better.
Right.
He put up all the stats.
Yeah.
And
Jordan, LeBron's a Swiss Army.
Jordan never went to a game 7, but if it wasn't for that curse shot, he would have went to a game 7.
And then you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. So LeBron could be this number. Jordan could be 5 and 6 without that shot.
Yeah.
So
5 and 1 is still better than 4 and 6. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But there was also the Paxson shot. Jordan definitely had help. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you're talking, everybody always likes to say LeBron never has help. Well, Steve Kerr is hitting this shot. It's not like it was, I don't know, Gary Payton, who was a great player in that generation. Like, it was Steve Kerr.
Yeah, well, he's a shooter, but the thing with LeBron, how he never had help. When he had help, he won. He wasn't favored in the last team with Miami, which was crazy. I didn't know that. But that last Miami year against the Spurs, he wasn't the favorite, so he was supposed to lose that.
Right.
These are things that were supposed to happen. The one series he lost, which I can't believe they lost to the Mavericks.
No, I don't think anybody really can.
But what team is the greatest team of all time, in your opinion?
That Warriors
with
team.
the KD?
Yeah, that Warriors team was the best team of all time.
Well,
or at least most talented.
Can Jordan say he came back from 3-1 on the best record of all time?
He cannot.
There's things that LeBron
He can also say that he wasn't down 3-1 because he didn't need to be, because he was winning
to the best team of all time.
Yeah, I think that the most talented team of all time is that Warriors team.
Yes.
The best team of all time.
Is the other Warriors team?
No, is the 72-10 Bulls that won the finals.
Yeah,
because they
won it.
There's the whole thing. 73-9 is nice, but 72-10 has a better ring to it because they won everything.
It's the record doesn't mean a thing without the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. So you make some good points. I'll never get over it.
I know you won't.
And I've made that very clear for years that I'll never get over that he's been swept twice in the finals. But I have come around to the fact that he is the best I've ever seen play basketball.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's something you can debate.
Right.
He does everything at an elite level.
Right, which is just absurd. And more credit to him.
I'm surprised he didn't bring up the Depoy. I was ready for that.
The defensive player of the year. He should have won it.
I didn't know you knew that.
Marcus Sol should not have won that.
I was ready for.
That's why I didn't bring it up because I don't agree with that. Okay. LeBron should have won.
Yes. All right. Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah,
we will always agree to disagree on
at least on that one. I'm just glad Brandon's not here because he always chirps about it. Hi, Tokyo. So that's the end of the sports portion of this show. The ending here, we're just going to kind of talk about
why we wanted
to start this, what our hopes of it is, in the long run and that sort of thing. And I'll let you take the bull by the horns on that.
What's funny because the day we figured out we're going to start it, I was driving home from work and he just texted me, "Hey, would you like to start a podcast?"
It was pretty random.
Yeah. And here we are 2 weeks later starting the podcast. But I was down and I've been wanting to start a podcast just because talking sports to me is so fun. But as far as what I want to do in the long run, it'd be nice to grow, but I really would like to talk to insiders in the sports, maybe players on the teams, stuff like that. That'd be the most fun to interview them to see their point of view of things.
Yes.
That's probably the goal in the long run. All the other stuff is cool, but this is fun.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And I like that you know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
We can joke. We like what we just did. We can disagree a lot, but we can be fine at the end of it and joke around about it.
No, absolutely. My favorite sports talk show or debate show, whatever you want to call it, is First Things First. And I think the number one thing that they have on that show is chemistry.
Which one's that?
It's one with Nick Wright.
Oh, okay.
And Chris Broussard. And yeah. The number one thing they have going for them is chemistry, which is nice that you and I are actually friends and buddies outside of this. Anyone who watches this channel consistently will know Devin from the 2K videos, and we're always poking fun at each other. It's always a good time. And that's really my number one goal out of this, is just to have fun with it. I completely agree with you that in the long run, I would love to get players or coaches or insiders on for interviews. That would be a dream come true. I think that would be so awesome. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. Another buddy of ours, Chase, said today, he said, "Do you think that you're going to actually keep going with the podcast? Do you think it's going to be something you actually stick with and all that?" And he said, "Because you're so busy with a kid and a job and all that stuff." Okay.
We're back.
Yeah. Alex is fired for sure. Like that's confirmed. So
True pilot.
would love to get people on the show and pick their brains about sports and really learn the ins and outs of the NFL and of the NBA.
Yes.
And Chase had brought up that I'm very busy with a kid, a full-time job, and all that stuff. I think the number one thing about this is he said, "Are you really going to want to go home and set up a podcast and talk about sports when you have all this other stuff going on?" And to me, it's not, do I really want to go do this? Like, oh man, I have to record this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff that I have to deal with every single day, I get to go do
Yes.
this. I get to just, for an hour or so, talk about my favorite thing in the world, which is sports, with one of my best friends. I don't think that you can beat that.
And Alex is here.
And then there's Alex. Well, he won't be here next time. We already confirmed that. So that's pretty much all I had, man.
Do you watch podcasts at all or listen to them?
Not really. All I watch is First Things First, to be honest with you.
I was gonna ask what was your favorite podcast, but you say
if I had to choose a podcast specifically, it would be Pick a Side.
Okay, I like Pick a Side. I don't watch them a whole lot. I watch Locked On Heat all the time. That's where I learned a lot of stuff about them. But I like Numbers on the Board.
I haven't heard of either of those.
Do you know King of the Fourth Quarter?
Mm-mm.
He was like a 2K YouTuber, but he's like one of my favorite of all. Him and the three of his homies just sit and talk hoops. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. And we fully plan on having guest stars, guest hosts, whatever, from time to time when it makes sense to do so. But if you have any closing words, or are we all set?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of Transition Takes. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be back next Wednesday with more Transition Takes.
Yeah.